I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. On today's show, a couple of different angles as the Bears might be getting disrespected a little bit heading into 2026. ESPN released their way too early power rankings for the upcoming season. Early Super Bowl 61 odds have dropped. And can the Bears be true contenders this upcoming season, or are they coming off kind of a farce year? We'll dive into all that here on today's show. And I want to ask you, if you think the Bears are Super Bowl 61 contenders, hit that like button on today's video. I think they are. I think they're a couple hits on defense away from really jumping into that stratosphere, but I think they're already a fringe Super Bowl contending team. We saw that this year. If a couple things go their way, they win that Rams game, and who knows? They're one of 4 teams left. So like the video if you think the Bears are true Super Bowl 61 contenders. All right, ESPN's power rankings for 2026, they're way too early edition dropped today, and got the Bears at 11. You got the defending champ Seahawks at 1, Patriots at 2, which I don't know how you put the Patriots ahead of the Rams just because they were in the Super Bowl, but I guess that's fine. Denver 4, Buffalo 5, San Francisco 6, Detroit at 7, the Eagles at 8, the Jags at 9, and then the Packers at 10 before the Bears come in at 11. I do think the Bears should firmly be inside the top 10. I think Philadelphia, the vibes are weird there right now. I mean, they forced their legendary O-line coach out, basically. Sean Mannion is a bright young mind, but he kind of comes from that LaFleur mindset offensively. It's like, is Jalen Hurts going to run a lot of under center play action passing? I'm not sure that works. So I think the Bears should be ahead of the Eagles heading into next season. I think they should be ahead of the Packers. That was settled on the field this year, winning 2 out of 3. You get Micah back, maybe, okay, like that changes things, but Bears are going to add some guys too, and the Packers don't have first-round capital, so I do think the Bears should be somewhere between 7 and 9 on this list, but they come in at 11. Courtney Cronin wrote this up for the Bears snippet in this Power Rankings article, saying this is one of the quieter off seasons for the Bears in recent history. They don't have to make franchise-altering moves ahead of next season. The Bears have the right coach-quarterback pairing with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. They established a winning culture that they can build off next season. There's work to be done on the roster, notably with the pass rush and free agency and the draft, but this is setting up to be a drama-free offseason. And, yeah, I think the foundation is set. The culture, the winning, the belief. Ben Johnson established all those things. Now it's tightening the screws and kind of adding the next pieces to help you get over the top. And that's why you need to nail this offseason. You know, last year you think of the pieces that really helped you get to that next step. All the O-line additions played a notable role. Your 2 first draft picks of Luther Burden and Colson Loveland came along as the season went out. Those are foundational pieces moving forward. Defensively, you need to do the same thing. You need to hit on 2 to 4 players this offseason when you combine the trade market, free agency, the draft, and then your guys that were banged up this year, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, if they can bounce back and be healthy, in addition to some potential additions on this team, I think you got something there. I think you got a chance to really take another step forward as an overall football team, because even though this team was great at taking the football away, down-wise, that defensively they were below average for a lot of the year. So if you can be above average and still be good at taking the football away, if not the best in the league like they were this year, then I think you're going to be in a really good spot, because I think we all agree offensively the arrow is pointing straight up with this football team. Did a full video on this last night, dropped right when the Super Bowl ended, is, look, I think you do these 5 things, you got a real shot to be Super Bowl champs next year. If the pass rush improves, try to go get a Trey Hendrickson. Maybe you try to trade for a Max Crosby. Draft a guy or 2 early on in the draft. However you do it, you got to get better at rushing the quarterback. Need to get faster defensively, especially in the back 7, safety, linebacker, maybe a corner. We'll see if they add at that position. Caleb, obviously, takes another step forward, just like he did from year 1 to year 2. If that young core, especially when you're looking at the offense, ascends, which there's no reason to think that they're not going to improve, and then if they're good in the big moments like they were this year, you do all or some of those things. You were already one of the final 8 teams standing, and you lost to a team that almost beat the Super Bowl champs in the NFC Championship game. Like, I know it was kind of a funky year in the NFL, but I don't think the Bears are crazy far away, but I also don't think they can just be like, well, we're right on the doorstep. I still think you need to be moderately aggressive here to try and really take a step forward into being a true Super Bowl contender this season. What say you? Are the Bears Super Bowl contenders? Y for yes, N for no. I think they are. I think they're kind of on the edge of that Super Bowl bubble right now. But again, you hit on a few defensive guys. The offense could really take off because the growing pains of learning the offense, the basics, all that stuff, the amount of time spent on that this past year in training camp and early in the season, that'll get reduced significantly. So the takeoff for the offense should come. Defensively, if they can get better overall, and I think it does start with rushing the passer, I think you really, really got something here. Okay, so that was the ESPN angle, having the Bears at 11th in the power rankings. I would have said, somewhere around 8 feels more appropriate. Super Bowl odds, 15th. Best odds. I look, if you're a gambling man, plus 2,700, I don't mind the play there. I think that's pretty decent value there. The Seahawks there at plus 750. And then you got the Rams at plus 800, the Ravens and Bills plus 1,200, Packers at plus 1,300. Like, you tell me, Packers plus 1,300, Bears plus 2,700. Even if you think Green Bay's better, like, that's a wide gap. Like, I think that's much better value for the Bears if you want to sprinkle on a future there. Chargers and Eagles at plus 1,500, Lions plus 1,600 with the Chiefs, and then the Patriots plus 1,700. So I do think Vegas is saying, they feel like a bit of a regression team, talking about New England. I think Chicago is getting undervalued here. I think plus 2,700, 15th in the NFL. You're saying middle of the pack team next season. I know people look at this season, they had this miraculous year. I mean, they were 8-5 in one-score games. It's not like they went 12-1. I've heard the Vikings comp to 2022. The Vikings went 12-1 in one-score games that year. Sure, they had some awesome, crazy finishes, but in a few of those games, they shouldn't have even been in that situation. Like the Bengals, for example. They were in full control of that game, but the defense collapsed down the stretch, and then the offense had to go save it, right? So, there were a few examples of, they had these walk-off wins, but if they just did a couple things earlier that they should have done, they wouldn't have even been in that spot. So, I think 15th best odds entering the offseason is a bit disrespectful, if I'm being completely honest. All right, today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Football might be over, but I'm just getting started with PrizePicks as the hoops action is heating up. Just pick more or less on stat projections on 2 to 6 player lineups regardless of sport, and you are good to go. PrizePicks offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, they will not count it as a loss. A little example of a 2-player lineup. Take more on both Con Kneppel and Nikola Jokic in their Monday contest there. By the time you watch this, hopefully I hit this 2-player lineup, $20 to win $60. Points, rebound, assist is what PRA is, by the way. So 26.5 combined in those 3 categories for Kneppel, 51.5 for Jokic. 20 to win 60. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Okay, the reason I like the Bears moving forward is, number one, it's second year of Ben Johnson. What is everything we've heard about this offense? Well, it's pretty complicated. It takes a while to pick up, and I think we saw that in real time, right? What were all the reports out of training camp? Pre-snap penalties, issues before the play even gets off. Well, season went on, that those issues started to become less and less of a problem. So again, you're going to be able to kind of skip some of those growing pains that they had to go through this year. Doesn't mean there won't be any, but it should be condensed in this training camp. You have an ascending quarterback in Caleb Williams, who already in the big moments elevates his game. If he can be more consistent overall, you have a chance to be not only one of the best overall offenses, but passing attacks as well. Your offensive core is mostly in place. They got to figure out left tackle for this upcoming season. We'll see what they do there, but the rest of the offensive line is set. You got 2 good tight ends. You got multiple good receivers. We'll see what happens with DJ Moore, whether he's here or not, but you're still in a good position there. Will they upgrade at running back from DeAndre Swift along with Kyle Monangai? I don't know, but either way, we know this run game works. And then defensively, you should improve. Now, the turnovers, the takeaways might go down, but the overall defense should play better if A, their key guys are healthier next year, and B, they hit on some guys like we've talked about in free agency, the draft, and perhaps on the trade market. So you guys tell me, where could the Bears regress? Now, one thing I will say is, they were very fortunate with the offensive line avoiding the injury bug. I know Ozzie got banged up in the playoffs, and that's going to cost him most of this season, if not all of it. But the other guys were mostly healthy all year. So that could be a spot. Linemen do get banged up. Like, maybe the offensive line isn't quite as good. Again, we don't know the left tackle situation, but I have a hard time thinking that group's just going to plummet. I still think at worst it's a top 10 unit, and if they're healthy, it still should be top 5-ish. At receiver, I mean, as talented as they are, they dropped a lot of balls. They should be better there. Rome entering year 3, Luther entering year 2. If DJ's here or not, he's going to be roughly the same player. He's not going to, like get way worse or anything. It's not like he had a great year anyway. He had great moments, but not a great year. Tight ends, I mean, Loveland, he is just taking off. That group should be better just with him ascending. Caleb's going to be better. Defensively, pass rush, you were 31st in pass rush win rate. It's going to get worse. Well, then you're the worst in the league. I don't think that's going to happen. Corner, by the end of the year, you weren't very good because of how banged up these guys were. Like, I look at this team, I'm like, where are they going to be worse? I don't know. I don't think they're going to have 7 comebacks in the final 2 minutes, but I also don't think they'll be in that many situations in those spots either. I think the key is Caleb Williams. If he takes another step forward, regardless of all the other stuff, the pass rush, getting all this other stuff, if he ascends, the team will ascend, right? That's how this works. The coach QB combination is the key. We already feel good about it. If Caleb ascends, you feel great about it. If he is just more consistent overall, we know that he is going to make a lot of big plays. He's one of the best playmakers in the sport already. If he's just a more consistent quarterback overall, he can be one of the best players in the sport in 2026. So I'm very bullish on this team. I'm very bullish on year 2 of been with Caleb. Again, like just the basics of like the verbiage of the play out of the huddle and the pre-snap stuff. He got so much better at all that. So just growing on that, it'll allow him to just play even more free and just tighten up on the fundamentals once the play is actually started. So I'm excited about that. I don't really see a lot of like regression spots on this team. I really don't. So that makes me really, really excited for what could come this year. Subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you guys daily news, rumors, trade buzz, free agency, draft. Got it all covered here on Chicago Bears Now. If you want to join us for all of it, hit that subscribe button on the channel. And look, I'll just end with this. The Bears proved a lot this year, right? Like, they were really good in clutch moments. They took a Rams team to the wire in a game they honestly outplayed them in, just in short yardage and the 3rd and 4th down spots. They just weren't good enough. If they make 1 or 2 extra plays, they win that game and they're in the NFC Championship game. I wouldn't have loved their chances against Seattle, especially on the road, but they were a play away from being in the Final Four in year 1 of Ben Johnson. None of us would have predicted that. So I think the Bears showed that they belong. Now it's, okay, you belong, but how much? Like, can you sustain? That's what the great teams and franchises do. They're a consistent winner. In a 5-year stretch, they're in the mix for 3 or 4 of those years. And that's the next step for this franchise. In 2018, people thought they were here to stay, and they weren't. I think the difference here is this offense is built to last, whereas that one wasn't. So if the defense can come along with it, I think this team is going to be a threat and in the mix for years to come. Hit on some defensive pieces and let it rip. That's kind of where I'm looking at this team this offseason. So, that's the task. What you did last year to improve the offense, do it with the defense. And if you can do that, you're going to be one of the best teams in the NFC next year. And if you're that and you're in the playoffs, you got a chance to make a run to a Super Bowl. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. You guys can find me all over social media at HGramNFL on Twitter, Instagram, and over on TikTok. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/HGramNFL, or if you just search Harrison Graham Chat Sports on Facebook, you can find my work page there as well. If you want to support me on all platforms, I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, bear down.